Hello, and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast number 274. This edition of the Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by
Axon Tire, helping dealers move more iron for the past 100 years. For more information, go to axontire.com.
So if you're interested in getting a couple mouse pads sent to you for free, and the resource mouse pads, and not just mouse pads that are, people are going to thoroughly enjoy, and you're going to get all the cool stuff that comes along with that, you're going to get yourself a couple resource mouse pads that are going to let you do all kinds of cool stuff when it comes to tire conversions and anything else you're looking for. Go to axontiretips.com and they will give you everything that you need there. Just fill out a form, send you a couple of those in the mail, and you will be right on the way, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Valley Transportation has been hauling ag and construction equipment across the country for the past 33 years. Call Parker at 800-657-4910 for all your trucking needs at Valley Transportation. Our goal is to help you reach yours.
No matter how you buy ag equipment, from a dealer, auction, or private party, AgDirect can finance it. You can even apply online at agdirect.com. To learn more about your financing options, go to agdirect.com.
Right on. All right. So Tractor Zoom, one of the few online data places that I go to that I really, really, really enjoy going to because it's unsecured. Not secured, secured data, but it's totally unregulated data. It's just data. That's all it is. So if you're interested in checking that out, Tractor Zoom's got $20 billion worth of heavy equipment machinery sales data. Their product Iron Comps is probably the industry's trusted solution for transparent heavy equipment values and auctionable pricing data. So if you check that out, love those guys over there. They're doing something that I think is different from everybody else around. So check that out. If you're interested in that, go to tractorzoom.com and I'll get more information for you. So, all right, got Aaron Fennell back here with me, and we have got the same old stuff that we always do, just the same dribble that just kind of whatever,
Right. Yeah.
Makes no sense.
Whatever falls out of our
just
mouth.
Talking about whatever. So this edition, Aaron and I talk about this a lot offline, and when we kick around kind of our jobs, in this business is to kind of try to figure out where we see things going, right? The further you are ahead of the market, and just like anything else, whether you're selling cars or tractors or whatever it is that you're selling, if you're ahead of that curve, you make some things happen. See, read the tea leaves better than anybody else around you, you're going to win, right? So Aaron and I have talked about this quite a bit, and I'll lay out my opinion, right? So I think the great reset's coming in the used equipment marketplace. Into 23 going into 24. And the more I look at that, the reason I'm saying I think there's a great reset coming, it has nothing to do with interest rates, has nothing to do with the economy and all those kind of things. My opinion of all that stuff, I think this is a short-lived deal. I mean, I've read and looked at and talked with people, and the information that I'm getting, people I'm talking to are economists that have done very well at calling markets along the way, and what I'm seeing and what they're telling me is that this is a short-lived thing. So my opinion of this great reset has nothing to do with that. What I'm looking at is once supply catches up with demand, and there is a amount of used equipment that's out there that's going to bring in a new amount of just unspoken for supply, right? Is that the best way to put it? I mean, guys,
available machines.
There you go. So when you're looking out there and you're seeing these things pile up on, you go back by your farm equipment lot again, and it's not a box blade and a rotary hoe out there on the lot.
And we can't sell that box blade; it's store use.
And there's more than that on the lot. That's when you're going to start seeing some things change. And to me, I've got to believe in my heart of hearts that 23. We start to turn that corner with supply chain issues and those other things that come into play, and we start seeing some of this used equipment show back up on the lot that's not pre-sold, right? We're not 3 trades deep when we sell the new one, right? We've already we got the first one sold, maybe the second one sold, but maybe the third and fourth one we don't have anybody lined up on it yet, right? I think going into 24. We have the first one sold. We don't have the second, third, or fourth one sold. We haven't got that far yet. We've got that much equipment on the lot that we are having to go back to the typical washout cycle roll kind of perspective and what those things look like. To me, end of 23 going into 24, I see a used equipment downturn, not because of an economy, not because of commodity prices or anything like that. It's strictly because
just a supply issue.
The premium on it's available now has been taken off.
Right. And that is killing the machinery business.
Right.
In a roundabout way.
Right.
I mean, it's not doing anybody any favors. It's fun, but
right. Yeah.
You know, that thing's going to show back up. And
well, of course it will.
Remember when that was batshit crazy?
Yeah.
Yep. It's not now.
You know, I think unlike other generations that have been in this business. Okay, go ahead.
Real quick. On top of that, though, we're not going to have that. We're going to have a reset, but not, we're never going to be in that. I shouldn't say never. It's not going to be like the 12 through 14 debacle where you just have machinery coming out of your ears. It's going to be a back to quote unquote normal level. It just won't be everything sold 4 deep. And you don't have all of these, you know, instead of we should have 5 combines, we have 15 1-year-olds.
Sure.
We're back to the 5.
Yeah.
So it's not so much the sky is falling, it's just the sun is setting.
And that makes sense.
More sense.
That makes sense. I think where I see some of this struggle coming from in that time frame is that, like I said earlier, I just look at this and when the overarching, the whole kind of play comes in here, and we're starting to look back at all these different things that happened. I think we have an opportunity that in our careers that other generations haven't had. Right? We had a meltdown in the marketplace. Right? So,
yeah.
So when I started in this business, 2006. Right? When did you start? 2000.
Yep, 2000.
Okay, so you had a 6-year head start on me. So you started in.
Let's be honest.
Well, you had a lifetime start.
Yeah.
But I mean,
when we're talking machinery, it's called birth.
But when you're looking at the things that we came out, so you've had a unique career if you really put it in perspective.
I have.
So if you come out of the late 90s, the ag economy was horrible, right? It was absolutely horrible.
I can totally remember $1.80 corn.
Yeah,
like $4.50 beans. We were selling. You couldn't sell, any big ticket items really. A couple combine here and there type of deal, tractor here and there. And that was a banner day, probably a month. But it was funny to think back then. We sold the dealership I was working at. That's when air reels kind of came on hot. Yeah. Dude, we were selling like 30 air reels a year. Mm-hmm. We didn't have that many guys nowhere near local, that ran that many.
Right.
They were just calling all over. We started ordering heads without reels and putting air reels on. I mean, that was our thing. And we used to have the discussion with guys about, that could save up to 2 bushel, and that's an extra $8, right, yeah. And now it's like, oh, you mean half a bushel?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But the same head and air reel doesn't quite cost what it did 22 damn years ago either. So, but yeah, I have seen that from depths, like, wow, this is bad, to when you started, and that was that's when I did a color switch through the years. And, and it just, you just going up, and then you get to that 10, 11, 12, like, this is unreal.
Yeah.
I can't believe this. And then 14 happened.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. So like in 99, 2000, you had the dot-com bubble crash. And typically the ag side of all of that, because of how money flows around, when the stock market crashes, hedge funds usually go to corn and soybeans and the commodity and, those kind of things, they start buying those things. Right. So you saw kind of a rise up there. And then I remember in 2006, when I started doing this, I didn't know what a commodity market even was. I remember watching the news.
Certainly do now, sir.
I remember watching the news, and they're like, corn's, whatever, blah, blah, and oil is this. And, they had the little clips on the news.
Pork bellies.
I remember watching that going like, corn the other day was like four something. And then all of a sudden it was $3.22, like this huge kind of quasi collapse in the marketplace. But then shortly thereafter that, it just was a steady climb up. And then we had the drought in 2012 and we had this huge boom. And before that even happened, we had a big boom.
Right.
So yeah, really the run for the equipment business was 2006 to 2013, right? You kind of make that argument that
I would even say, being
7-year run,
being in it at 2000.
Yeah.
And I would say, just from personal experience, of course, this is, part of that's kind of hard to tell. Is it getting better at your job because you've had more time?
Sure. Yeah.
Or is it the economy? Is it both? But I want to say really about late 3 and then 4, 5 is when she really started getting with it. Yeah. Because I remember it was 2005 when wheat was like $5 and everybody was just going crazy. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
And that kind of pulled everything, and here we go.
That's when I was working. When that happened, I was working in 2003. I was working for the association. Association. So I remember going out to like Western Kansas, like Goodland, Liberal, Sharon Spring. Like all up and down that,
Dude, that was perfect. You got both corners and one in the middle.
I know.
Nice work.
I'm from Kansas, so yeah, I know my geography. But so I'm looking at that, and that there they were talking about how wheat this, wheat that, and I'm like, oh, that's great. Yeah, I had no idea what they're talking about.
Right.
But talking about, when was the last time you heard someone that sold wheat for $9? I'm like, I don't know. This whole thing, makes sense. You're excited, so it must be this must be epic.
This is a good thing, right?
This must be epic, right? So kind of going through the whole thing and kind of watching that thing turn, and then we get to 2014, and my recollection of when I look back at that, to me that was if you were in the equipment business and you didn't see the writing on the wall in 2012 when everybody else was like high-fiving and jumping. If you weren't a used equipment guy and you didn't see the writing on the wall that 2014 was going to happen, I really have to question what you were looking at. You know what I mean? Because there were all the signs in the world out there, right?
Oh yeah. I didn't see it coming because I was still living it. It was called 70 series.
But I remember watching this going like, if times are so good, why the hell are we taking all these combines auction?
Yeah.
Why are there so many combines on auction?
Yeah.
Why are there so many 4-wheel drives on auction? Why are there so many And so we saw these things happening early. And the one thing about the equipment business, I think that's different than other areas.
And somewhere deep in a trench is a lot of 24-row planters.
Yeah.
They just plain ass disappeared.
Yeah.
A lot of sweet corn. You can make 4-6 rows out of that.
You could do that. And I actually thought about doing that once. Because you could see those things on the auction all the time where they have the bar. It'd be like an old, 1700 bar or something like that. And it had 2 or 3 row planters.
All painted up nice.
And I was like, man, I'll just screw all that, man. I'm going to get these XP boxes to put on, you know what I mean? I put this stuff on it. But you look at all that and you start to kind of step back and take a look at that. And the difference, now here's the biggest difference between now and then, right? Is that then you had a steady supply of new equipment coming in.
Yeah, we're not going to be oversupplied.
And there was
shouldn't be.
There were, for every new piece you sold, you took in.
God, there was like 8.
You would sell one new piece, you get a used piece come in, but you'd sell one new one for every new, every 5 new ones you would sell 2 used ones.
Right.
And that was the problem, right?
Yeah.
So you were offsetting everything. It wasn't a 1-for-1 rate, reaction.
I would widen that gap. I'd say 4-to-1. For every 4, one is used.
And the other thing between that time frame and where we're at today is that if you look at the buyers that are out there right now, and you really start to paint the picture of what a new piece of equipment costs, compared to what a 1-year-old piece costs or a 2-year-old piece costs. I mean, right now you're looking at a 3-year-old piece of equipment that's worth more than the new one cost in 2013.
Right. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got 750 hours on it. We're looking at stuff, So now you start painting that picture. What does that look like, and how does that whole thing work? To me, the biggest difference that we see happen right now is that it's not that the differentiation between all the things that come together. The biggest differentiation is, I wrote 2, I'm writing a series of blogs right now about the lines of delineation and how these groups of buyers are really kind of cast into these roles now.
Yeah.
They're not. Beforehand, you'd have a guy I buy a new combine every 2 years and I run my tractors for 7. That was a common practice. Right?
Yep.
Now you have guys that I buy a combine every 2 years, but it's a 3-year-old combine.
Right.
That I'm buying. Right. I don't buy the new one anymore.
Right.
I don't buy the new tractor anymore. I buy that 1-year-old tractor. I mean, you got these guys. I mean, just these lines, these places where things are just kind of really stacked in there, and they're stacked in there for a reason.
Yep.
And it's not anyone's fault. It's just the way things panned out. I mean, it's what's your cash flow opportunities? How many acres you farm, and all these things that come into play.
Well, what used to fit in the budget as new is now used.
Yeah, exactly right.
That's what it comes down to.
And I think when I'm looking at this and I really start to pay attention, that's why I think the correction that we see coming is going to be a big correction. There's no doubt about that. I mean, that's stoppable train that we have coming our way, right? Once supply catches up with demand, and once the lots are, in my opinion, if new supply catches up with demand, and everything's showing up like it's supposed to, and you're getting new tractors every 3 to 4 months, and your combines are showing up when they're supposed to, and you got all this stuff coming in. This is like a 2 or 3 year selling cycle to kind of get everything back to a normal level of used equipment inventory.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you have just because of what's coming in now. I mean, when you're 3 trades deep.
Yeah. I mean,
that's your entire inventory.
Right.
That's your lot.
It is.
Right. If you have a new combine coming in and you're 3 deep in trades, this guy's buying his, he's buying his, all the way down the line. He's buying his 1-year-old machine. He's buying his 3-year-old machine. He's buying his 5-year-old machine.
Yep.
For a combine, that's kind of the washout cycle. You might have one more where there's like a 7 or 10-year-old machine in the mix, but when you're really kind of putting that together, same thing with tractors. You got a guy that's got a 1-year-old machine. He's taking his 3-year-old machine.
It's a 10-year-old that's in the mix. It's a 2012 when you get 670 because they just never go away.
They just they're the leper of the group.
They are.
I mean, everybody. I mean, it's just like
everybody's invited except 2012 670.
Okay. Is he bringing beer for everybody? I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, that's what it looks like.
Did you say 680 could come or not?
Yeah, he's bringing the bottle of beer. So when you get down all the way to the end, like on a tractor, you got a 1-year-old machine, you got a 3-year-old machine that's probably going to come in on trade in there somewhere in that range. You got like a 5 to 7-year-old machine that's going to come in the trade on that one.
Yep.
But then you're looking at a 10-year-old machine, and then you got one more that's probably like a 15-year-old machine, right? So you've got like the 500-hour guy, that's the 1-year-old guy, the 500-hour machine. He's trading his 1,500-hour machine on the 500-hour machine. The guy with 3,000 hours is trading in on a 1,500-hour machine. The guy with 5 to 6 or 7,000 hours is trading in 3,000, so on and so forth. The tractor washout cycle is like 8, 9, 10 deep. I mean, you really to really get down into it,
Yep.
But the years are you're talking about the span of years is great. I mean, from the 1-year-old guy.
Yeah, combines, you're floating in a 15-year at most. At most. Actually, call it 10. Because by the time you get to 10, we just talked about what that is, and there's not a lot of value there. So combines, you're looking at a 10-year window.
Yeah.
Tractors, legitimately.
I mean, you
have 8410s out there that are tractor number 1 on a good sized farm.
Yep. That's
you're looking at a 25 to 30.
Yeah. So I think when you look at that perspective, when I'm looking at the downfall and this collapse that we see coming, it's not a
buzzword.
Well, I don't. Collapse is probably strong, but
hashtag collapse.
I think what I'm trying to say here is that what's going to happen is
shit's going to get real.
Well, it's that the premium that we see now because it's available now is gone.
Right.
It just goes back to being normal.
That will be an instantaneous bam in your face reset.
So that reset happens and everything kind of goes back to normal.
After that, I think it'd be kind of
I think it's
gradual.
But I think back to that point, it's a pretty steady.
Right.
It's what you would normally see. Now, it all depends on what happens with commodity prices and those kind of things. Obviously, right? That's what drives the marketplace. Interest rates are going to have a play in that. You can make the argument now that, you hear like, well, it's nothing like it was in the 80s, like, okay, cool. I've heard this over and over and over again that, there was a certain year of a tractor that jumped up like 25 or 30% in a 2-year period, or in a 1-year period. I'm sorry. But the difference between what that is now and what we see happening now is that 30% jump in that tractor. What we're seeing now is,
oh man,
it's the price of the tractor.
Right.
Like, the price increase now is the price of that tractor when it was new.
30% increase. We're going to have to sell that quarter.
I mean, we're talking about if you take a 5% price increase, a 10% price increase on a $500,000 machine, you're looking at $25,000 to $50,000.
Right.
I mean, when all this, my little scenario that I'm talking about, when that was all taking place, that $50,000, that's what that tractor that we were talking about, that's how much it cost when it was new.
Right.
With the price increase included. Right. So to me, I mean, I hear people talk about the 80s and how hard it was, and the 17 and 18 and 19 and 20% interest rates and those kind of things. And don't get me wrong, I'm not downplaying that in at all, not even at all. But if you take a look at today's marketplace and you raise prices 10% I'm just throwing this number out here, and I have done no research, so everybody out there can jump in and start throwing knives at me if you want to. But
big knives.
In 1985, if your farm had $1 million worth of equipment, I think you're probably a big deal.
You were a dealer.
I mean, well,
shit, man. But I mean, you were a dealer.
But think about
it. You had $100,000 of machinery in 85. That was a lot.
But I'm talking about everything from all the way through to support equipment.
Oh, trucks,
everything. Hold on, $1 million. That was a large operation.
Hell yeah.
Right. Today, if you have $1 million, you've just planted your corn.
Right. You have a couple circles.
But you haven't even gone in and done any kind of tillage work in front of that. Right. I mean, you're like legitimately, like, no bullshit, I'm going in like this is no till to the max, because I'm not even going to go in and like do anything.
All we've done since combine is spray.
Right. So now you start looking at that. If you have a combine, a tractor, a planter, a sprayer, maybe one or two tractors that kind of get, plant tractor and tillage piece and those kind of things. You say you got 7 or 8 pieces on the farm, right? Your basic stuff.
Yep. Lean and mean.
And it's assuming that everything you have on the farm is, let's just say you have 7 to 10-year-old stuff.
Yep.
Right across the board. Those 5 to 7 pieces you've got out there, you've got about $1 million. That's just
easy.
Just your farm equipment. Easy. That's not counting your trucks. That's not counting your grain carts, your seed tenders, your
I threw grain carts into that because that's machinery.
But I'm saying, like, I'm talking just your strict hardcore. I'm using this to plant my crop and use this to harvest my crop and use it to do the tillage.
Oh, okay.
No support equipment, right?
Like we have to pull the combine up and dump in the truck.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So now you start putting that into perspective, and then you probably have another.
I can't believe how fast that X9 fills up that tandem truck.
But then you start thinking about that. Then you start thinking about trucks, trailers, header trailers, grain carts, seed tenders.
Tender trailer, sprayer trailer.
I mean, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You got another $1 million.
Oh, hell yes.
So now you got $2 million, and you're not at that point. You're a 3,000 acre guy out in our neck of the woods.
Right.
Now, 3,000 acre guy in Illinois is a whole different animal,
Mhm.
right? So that's a whole different thing. But all that being said,
It rains.
Yeah. Now you're paying 18.
And they have soil.
Yeah. We've got dirt. They've got soil. Two different things.
We have sand.
If we're lucky. And then we've got so you start putting that perspective and you start looking at that how that whole thing plays out. Yes, you're paying that one big operator was paying $1 million at 18% interest or whatever it was that he
Right.
was doing. Now you got a guy now that's doing probably a third of the acres that guy was doing, right? Paying 6% interest now or whatever,
Right.
7% interest now. You start putting the math on that. If you have twice as amount, the money's twice as much, and you're paying half as much interest, it's the same number.
Yeah, but you're not really comparing apples to apples. You're giving the modern day guy an easy path because you're comparing the $1 million guy in 85. That's like an A customer. So you need to add.
Well, that guy now is a $10 million guy.
Yeah, I was just
You know what
going
I
to
mean?
say you
Yeah.
need to add an extra digit
Right.
for now.
Right.
And in that case, 6 beats the hell out of 18.
Right. And that's my point.
All right.
That's my point.
I never look at it from that standpoint, but you're right.
Yeah. So if you're paying 6 on 10 or 18 on $1 million,
Right.
do the math. You're paying about the same.
Yeah.
Right. So now the only difference is that the payments associated with the $1 million and payments associated with the 10,
Drastically different.
that's the big difference. Right?
Right.
That's when you start coming into play. So to me, when I look at this, that's where I see, obviously when the new comes and gets caught back up and we got this flush of used equipment, things are kind of back to normal,
Flush.
where you've got this kind of rotating
Ample supply.
I don't think it's even going to be an ample supply, but it's just going to be this normal ebb and flows that we see of the used equipment business, right? When that comes back, I really take a hard look at where we're at, what we're doing, and I just see a big haircut coming, and it's the premium on that stuff that we don't have sold that comes off,
Mm-hmm.
and it's that dusting, I guess is the best way.
There you go.
Knock off the dust, and we're back to the 1958 Chevy Bel Air that's been in the barn for 60 years. We knocked that dust off. Now we got a pretty thing again. We got to polish it. We got to rub it back out, polish it back out, and make it shine again.
Ain't got time.
But to me, I think there's that's what my biggest fear is. But that's because that's going to be a fast.
Oh yeah.
It's not going to be a gradual. It's going to be a fast.
Yep.
I mean, it's like the fourth quarter to the first quarter.
Tomorrow.
Things changed.
Right.
Rapidly changed.
Yep.
But I don't think it's an auction situation either.
No.
I don't think guys are going to be dumping their equipment because I don't think we have a used equipment situation until 2028.
Right.
That's when I think the next big, oh my God, what are we doing with all these X?
I don't think we ever have that. Not to the level we did. Well, because we just don't have that many.
Well,
but the other problem we got to look at is this: the farmers are getting older. The younger guys that are around are part of something big already,
right?
Who don't buy the used. I mean, we're going to run into an ass versus seats problem. That's what it's going to take to have the 12 problem. So, I mean, it won't be in 28, but maybe in 58 or something.
Well, no, I think the other side of this too, that's a big play in this, the long term going through the end of 20s, the rest of the 2020s going into the 2030s. To me, it was like, how does the autonomous conversation come into this?
It does.
And when does that happen? When does that take place? And all those kind of things. Because the same number of acres are going to get farmed, right? They might be farmed by, a third of the farmers we have now, but the same number of acres are going to be farmed.
Right.
I think if there's anything,
acres will go down a little bit because you got urban expansion and that kind of stuff. But
okay, so I mean, within a 100-mile radius of Denver, in our area.
Well, I don't mean in Box Butte County. I just mean nationally.
Yeah, but it's going to be that's such a finite area.
No, I just mean in general, man.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, you might lose.
Sioux Falls gets bigger. Lincoln gets bigger. Moline gets bigger.
You lose a few percentage of
right, but you're still losing some ground.
No, I don't argue that, but I'm just saying it's like you listen to stuff on.
Sorry
TV.
for being dialed in for once. Didn't mean to cause offense.
But I think my my opinion of that is you have where this starts to really come into play. And what does this look like is the one thing I will say about this more than anything. The factory side of autonomous is one thing. The autonomous discussion with trucking, agriculture, taxi, all that kind of stuff, where you really start dialing that stuff in. It's driven by what you see happening with labor.
It's driven by no one.
There you go. That's a good one.
But, dad jokes for days.
Yeah, that's a good one. But I think the
moving on.
But where I see this being a problem, or not a problem, that's the right word. Where I see this being an issue for used equipment is how does that start to play into what we're doing, right? And I think it goes back to the international market that we've talked about on here a million times.
Yeah.
Once you get to one point in the marketplace, like in North American market, especially European market, Australia probably to some extent, those marketplaces where you have more of a developed kind of old
infrastructure,
saturated infrastructure where you've got, right. I mean,
you're not in Africa.
Yeah. We're not going to go into Montana and be like, oh, wow, we found a whole bunch of land here. We're going to knock down all these, whatever. That's not going to happen. Right.
It's already got fence.
I mean, we've kind of done that already.
Right.
But you go to countries like Africa and Asia and those kind of places like that, where there's a lot of ground out there where make things, even in South America, I mean, there's still plenty of places out there that can turn into farm ground if they want to. Now, what the repercussions of that are, that's
please don't, but they certainly could.
There's a whole other conversation for all that. But the point I'm making is that's when you start looking at all of these, like, what do you do with the 5-year-old piece at that point? Who's the buyer for the 5-year-old combine? Who's the buyer for the 10-year-old tractor? I mean, those are our bread and butter machines right now.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, a lot of people.
Yeah. So that's that kind of thing that we're looking at. So to me, when I'm looking at this, I mean, I see 2028 being the first sign of, hey, we got an issue here. And I don't think in 2028 that it's our issue is we've got too many quote unquote, asses in their seats for asses.
Right.
We just don't have any asses for any seat because
it drives itself.
There's just not enough labor.
Goes. He's just got
not enough labor.
He's got to segue into it.
So that's my opinion. That's where I stand on this issue. What's your thoughts?
Wait, as far as autonomy coming into it,
just in general, like what are your thoughts about?
Oh, like it's really what it boils down to. It's really a macrocosm of a bunch of finite issues and a conjunction. No, I just wanted to use a bunch of big words. I completely agree. The premium is going to fall off and it's going to take 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
But it's going to be when it falls off. It's a quick normalization,
right? Yeah, it's like, oh, that was fun, and go to lunch and
right.
go
Come
about
back.
your day.
Oh, we came back. It's 12 o'clock. New day.
There you go.
Yeah.
The as far as the like the 28 thing and the asses for seats and all of that, I mean, I hate to say it because it is no fun, but the shortages and delays and keeping everything in check is going to be as much of a problem as it is now. It's going to be a huge ally later because it's not new right. Showing up.
Yeah,
so we're not
trade cycle type stuff,
right? We're not going to have the oh my god inventory coming out of our ears like we did. It's just going to be a point blank. I say this all the time, and I'm probably one of the worst sinners of it, but guys are going to have to learn to sell, man.
Oh yeah.
No more order writers. Order writers, there's the door.
Yeah. You have to go back and start doing the cost analysis
right.
and all those things that come along with that for sure.
Yeah. Like kids that started selling, 10 to 12.
Yeah.
They're just like, man, this is the greatest job. I'm like, it is right now.
Yep.
Let me talk to you about $1.75 corn, friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, when's the last time you heard the initials LDP? Shit, man. I sold machinery based off of LDP back in the day. Yeah. And now it ain't even a thing.
That's true. All right.
Now you have to pay them if you want to use the LDP.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Good place to stop. Aaron, folks want to reach out to you and get more information about what you're doing. What's the best way to do that?
Several avenues on Facebook and LinkedIn by my name, just Aaron Fennell on a Twitter at my name at Aaron Fintel. Email aaron.fintel at movingironllc.com. Call me, text me 308-760-1193. And I think that gets it all.
Okay. I am Casey Seymour. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Moving Iron LLC. You can find me on LinkedIn at Moving Iron Podcast and check out the video version of this on the Moving Iron Podcast YouTube channel. You can also go to MovingIronLLC.com for everything Moving Iron related. If you're a dealer and you're listening to this and you want to come to the Moving Iron Summit, which I would highly recommend, Aaron.
It's tremendous.
You've been to every one of them.
Every single one.
Yeah.
Never missed
one. So,
class of 1980, huh? Still come to all these parties? I never miss it.
So if you're interested in doing that, hit me up at Moving Iron Podcast at MovingIronPodcast.com, or you can go to MovingIronLLC.com. Upper right-hand corner, check the Moving Iron Podcast box up there, or Moving Iron Summit box, and I'll give you all the information you need right there. Good friend Alex Trenko is over in Ukraine right now, flying around making shit happen. That's what he does, and he's dodging all the trouble that comes along the way to deliver humanitarian aid to all this Ukrainian countrymen over there. So if you're interested in helping Alex and his GoFundMe page, go to the show link in the show notes. There's a link there. Check that out, or just go to GoFundMe and go to Help Alex Transport Humanitarian Aid from Poland to Ukraine, and you'll be able to help him out. So with that, I am Casey Seymour with Aaron Fennell. Let's go move some iron, folks. Out.
Moving iron in the 21st century. Hard work.